We're on. Yep.
And ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the prosecution is not going to get that man today. No. Because I...
Like the pastor, radio preacher man, watching for truth. He has a page for each individual show also, and it's very nice of him for the work he has put in. We have not paid him. He is doing this with a few other people who are also setting up sites to broadcast and live stream our shows, and we cannot thank you guys enough. That is the Christian United Broadcasting Network on YouTube, or Cuban One is the name of the station. So check that out.
You know, I think what we need to do, all right, is we really need to help him grow. You know, as I always say, it's not about us. It's not about our program. It's about the message. And Troy is as the Christian United Broadcasting Network, I think it's important that we as Christians stick together and grow together and help each other out and lift each other up, and because as times get rough, and I talked a couple of times today to Steve Quayle about a number of things, and I got to tell you, things are going to get rough. And I also, folks, I also have news, additional news on this Colorado shooter. I think I am into our number, I don't know, 50 perhaps, maybe. You've
been, working your hind end off trying to get this going.
And I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you flat out right now, I'm opening the program up with this. Everything, and I had received verbal permission. Now, I want to be very clear, okay, with this statement. Okay, I'm working with a gentleman by the name of Dr. Randall Strandquist. He's a forensic psychologist licensed in Washington State. He is independently working, assisting this investigator, me, with putting together some reports as to what happened, both factual and also from his educational background, from an analysis point of view of this alleged shooter.
Yeah, it's so complex. There's so many details. There's so many stories inside of the stories.
Yeah,
there's so much multiple reporting.
Do not, folks, do not believe anything you hear. Please do not believe the mainstream, the corporate, the establishment media on this. I have found so many conflicting reports, and I'm going to tell you something. I've actually found on various forums, internet forums, people that I've traced their IP addresses to, that suggest that the topic is being manipulated and information is being peppered into these various forums who are talking about this to hide the truth. But I will tell you this with absolute certainty. I believe that they're, based on the information that we've uncovered, and I've said this before, but I'm going to say it more authoritatively today. There was more than one person involved in this. I don't know if John or James Egan Holmes even fired a shot. I don't know. Okay, it's possible he didn't. It's possible that he fired them all. But to say with authority, with any definitive authenticated, no, I can't. But I can say this with absolute certainty. It would appear, based on the preponderance of evidence, at least two people were involved in this, perhaps more. And this was a quote, and this directly from a law enforcement source, a coordinated attack. Okay, now that is, you can take that to the bank. I'm very cautious with what I write. And I'll tell you, I've been struggling over this all day based on information. And now, whatever that means, for whatever the purpose, look, we don't know. I don't know what the purpose was. I mean, obviously to kill people, but I don't know what the larger purpose was for this.
And
many
speculated it's the Second Amendment, the UN Small Arms Treaty, and we do have a couple things we're going to get into with that right away, and then go to a call, and then we can get back into the Colorado information.
We don't have to, because I really this report that I'm doing in conjunction with Dr. Strandquist, and again, I must stress that he's a licensed forensic psychologist. He is acting independently, and he's not with any agency. He's acting independently as a licensed forensic psychologist. We don't have to get into that. I just want to let you know a report is forthcoming. Again, the reason it's not been, I have not done this, or we have not done this, is because we want to be absolutely positively 100% sure every fact is irrefutable, and that's what we're doing.
And starting off with the news today, Democratic senators offer gun control amendment inside a cybersecurity bill. The Democratic senators have offered an amendment to the cybersecurity bill that would limit the purchase of high-capacity magazines for some consumers. Shortly after the Cybersecurity Act gained Senate approval to proceed to file proposed amendments and vote next week, Senator Chuck Schumer, a sponsor of the gun control amendment, came to the floor to defend the idea of implementing some reasonable gun control measures. We have the audio of that. It says this would make it illegal to transfer or possess large-capacity feeding devices such as gun magazines, belts, feed strips, and drums of more than 10 rounds of ammunition, with the exception of a .22 caliber rim-fire ammunition. And we have the audio of what he said right here.
It perplexed many in the pro-gun movement how liberals would read the First, Third, Fourth, Fifth, Sixth Amendments as broadly as possible. But when it came to the Second Amendment, they saw it through a pinhole. It only related to militias, which frankly is a narrow reading of the Second Amendment. And there were many back then in the 80s and 90s in the pro-gun control movement who basically felt there was no right to bear arms. And I think in part, because of that, those on the other side of the issue became kind of extreme themselves. Their worry was that the real goal of the left was not simply to have rational, if you will, laws that might limit the use of guns, what guns could be had, how many clips, who could have them, criminals, the mentally infirm, but rather that was just a smokescreen to get rid of guns, and there was enough evidence back in the 80s and 90s that people actually wanted to do that. And so if you look at the ads from the NRA and the groups even further over, the Gun Owners of America, their basic complaint is that the Chuck Schumers of the world want to take away your gun, even if it's the hunting rifle your Uncle Willie gave you when you were 14. And I think it would be very important for those of us who are for gun control, some rational laws on guns, to make it clear once and for all that is not our goal. To make it clear that the belief is that the Second Amendment does matter, that there is a right to bear arms, just like there's a right to free speech and others. And if you're an average, normal American citizen, you have the right to bear arms.
Well, now.
Yeah.
That was Chuck Schumer.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I thought I paused or
I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I'm not sure if that was Chuck Schumer.
No, it sounded like him.
The way. Okay. The way he mentioned his name there, but what they were talking about was sneaking in some gun control, ammunition, clip control measures into a cybersecurity bill. We also have an article here. CCRKBA credits grassroots for U.S. decision not to sign arms treaty. It says the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms today applauds the decision by the United States not to sign the proposed international arms trade treaty. And the grassroots action for the gun, they take it as a grassroots victory for the gun rights. And with that, we're going to bring on our small arms guru, our militiaman, John, with some information. John, are you there?
Hey guys, how you doing? Nice intro, Joe. Thanks a lot.
and folks, John is the one of the members of Braveheart Radio, and we'll let him plug his show afterwards. But I just want to mention that.
Guys, thanks for having me on. I've spent the afternoon looking at this, and only within the last maybe half an hour, I actually was able to locate confirmation from the mainstream media that the United States actually has not actually rejected the treaty, but they have asked for an extension of the deadline to hammer one out. And apparently the people have made enough noise in this country to put a stop, at least put the brakes on this thing. But I caution everyone, do not be fooled, because this is what the powers that be do. When they want to do something and the people get all thrown up in a hizzy about it, they will back off and say, okay, maybe this isn't such good timing right now. Let's back off and maybe take a few smaller steps. Mark my words, that's what's going on right now.
That is their MO. That's their MO.
We saw it with the NDAA. Obama said, I'll veto this if it gets to my desk. We're not going to pass this. Yet, as soon as it got to his desk, he did pass it under the veil of
the signing statement. Yeah. And that could very well be. It's the same tactic. It's their MO. So we've got to be very careful. You've got snakes and serpents and reptiles in the White House and this administration and all over the place.
Yeah, I would very strongly caution against anybody jumping and screaming for joy, saying, we beat them again. No, we did not. They are simply stepping back, letting us calm down a little bit.
Right.
And just like they always do, they're going to sneak things in one at a time, one little detail at a time, just like with this magazine restriction that they put into the cybersecurity bill that Joe talked about right at the top of the show.
Right.
Keep in mind, we are in an election year. We have an election 102 days away, okay, from president all the way down to dog catcher.
And let me say this, Canada Free Press on their site has had a countdown to the next election since the moment Obama got in. And I remember that calendar, how many days were on that countdown when that began, and thinking, man, this is a long time. And you're right, the elections are right around the corner.
And it's going to go quick between now and then, hopefully, without too much damage, being done. But I have a feeling that we're just getting started. We're just seeing some things opening up.
We are.
I really think this is the most dangerous time for this administration, and followed by, to be trumped only by Election Day and what happens after Election Day. Then all bets are off. But
I have two words for you: lame duck.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's where most of the nefarious legislation gets its way through.
Yeah.
And the information that I have developed today from various sources of the media and from friends that are connected, the UN is not going to back down. They are going to continue to push, and this is Obama's under-the-radar gun control that he promised the Bradys. back in 2011, February, I think it was. This is the under-the-radar gun control. No matter what happens, we are going to be. Let me backtrack. There is a very strong possibility that we are going to be subject to this treaty, whether we sign on to it or not. And the UN is intending for the United States to be disarmed, just like they've disarmed Australia, Great Britain, Canada, and a host of other countries around the world. Do not let your guard down, people. Please do not. Don't savor this victory any longer than you already have, because it is no victory.
That's correct. This whole thing is smoke and mirrors, and with regard to this treaty, it's smoke and mirrors. And I've heard, John and Joe, I saw on a forum here earlier today saying, well, the gun treaty does not affect us as citizens. Oh yes, it does. Oh yes, it does. The argument was it affects international trade of conventional weapons, but it does not affect us as citizens.
Yeah, and they also say it doesn't affect people who already have the alleged, weaponry that is going to be banned. That the further sale will only be affected, etc.
This is a quote from the Fox News story that I found just before your program came on air, and there's a one sentence paragraph halfway down the story that says, treaties are government-to-government agreements and do not subject citizens of one nation to laws of another or to those of an outside body.
Okay, wow. What book are they reading from? Or who's giving them their information? Seriously.
They're
the Rupert
reading,
Murdoch elite disinformation manual.
That sentence jumped out at me, and I cried a huge Bravo Sierra on that one.
Yeah, and it's amazing though how many people sit there and hang on every word of Fox News or hang on every word of MSNBC, depending on which aisle, side of it is.
And we've seen Rupert Murdoch call for gun control in the last recent days.
He is a gun control advocate himself.
Yeah, so all those people that watch Fox News, just know that the owner is only there to continue to push for further gun control measures.
And do not forget, Fox News has got 14%, the News Corp has got 14% ownership in Saudi Arabia.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. That's right. I forgot about that. Now, the Colorado shooting, which, Doug, I understand from your opening shot in the program that you've developed a lot of information. Boy, I cannot wait to hear what you got.
People apparently can't.
There is no way that is not a staged event to gin up support for the arms trade treaty. The timing is too suspect. The carnage is enough to make people cringe and say, okay, we need this. This is my opinion. I have not developed any information on this. This is simply my opinion.
Let me just say this. At 01:55 local time, now this, again, remember, the shooting started at 12:35. 12:39 in the morning local time. At 1:55, an officer breaks temporary radio silence with the following, and I'm going to quote this verbatim. It sounds like we have possibly two shooters, one that was in Theater 8 and one that came in from the outside Theater 9. It sounds like it was a coordinated attack. Okay, now I know,
And that backs up stories of the tear gas canisters being in both theaters, and also we talked about that last night, the Theater 8 and Theater 9 having incidents.
And then if you carefully and methodically go through all of the radio transmissions and the overlaps, and let me tell you, it's enough to, give you a real big headache, but we've got disappearing and appearing cars, multiple cars with different styles, different plates.
We got blood trail leading out the back into the theater from the way it appears.
And that does comport with one report that was actually made public. But the fact that the judge has sealed all of the documents. It's my understanding too that,
and the cameras are no longer allowed in the courtroom.
right.
Some say because of the appearance of the defendant, how drugged up he looked. That is why that they cut the feeds.
Well, and look, if there was ever in my thoughts, and this is for me speaking only from me, and I'm not a big, look, I'm not into mind control. I never really believed it, but I'll tell you what, I've got to say that this certainly looks to be a case of some type of mind control, whether it be through drugs or through hypnotic suggestion or whatever. But man, I'll tell you.
Yep.
So, but anyway, but what's the, I guess, where does this fit in? What's the it certainly it's. Where does it fit into the larger
picture? Well,
picture?
A few days ago, or I should say within the last few days, there were. I saw some reports that since the Colorado shooting, several senators had changed their mind about opposition to the arms trade treaty and were going to vote to ratify it. So
it's incremental
sure.
Support for the treaty.
Everything is just like you said. It is their MO. It is everything is done in little steps. They push and push and push until the people start getting fired up. Then they back off a little bit, and they start taking smaller steps.
And I think, too, that's because the American people have a very limited concentration level of concentration and attention span. I really think that's the case. So that they believe that. I mean, we do, really.
Now, let me throw this little monkey in the works, or this little wrench in the works. Look for a big time celebrity to die, and watch the news for the next 6 weeks. You're not going to hear anything at all about the arms trade treaty. And I cite Michael Jackson and that Playboy wench, whatever her name was,
and Nicole Smith.
Yes. Yeah, those 2 summers, the news was consumed with their deaths.
Well, I can certainly, I can certainly, I can relate to that. I mean, I can see where that would go. Joe, I mean, come on. I remember that summer with Michael Jackson. That's all you heard on the radio.
Yeah.
That's all you heard on the news, on the radio. And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but the timing sure would be good for it right about now.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And I'm gonna let you guys go. Let you get back to your regular program. Just wanted to give you a heads up. And I have a response to Senator Schumer from his speech. Senator Schumer, to a militiaman, sensible gun control is putting the second bullet through the first hole.
We're going to have to remember that. That's a good.
Yes, it is, and I agree. John.
That is gun control by its very definition. If you can do that, boy. That's
and as the man in our audio clip says, gun control is being able to control the gun as you fire accurately into your target.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Right. Steady hands. Well, thanks, John. Now give us a plug for your radio program that airs weekly.
Braveheart, Pennsylvania American Patriot Radio, Saturday nights from 6 o'clock Eastern p.m. till 9 p.m., heard on the Liberty Tree Radio Network, which there is a link to that network from our homepage, which is braveheartradio.net. Again, that's braveheartradio.net, all one word.
Okay, all right.
I'm going to try and post up on Facebook and Twitter the links to your show tomorrow, because I do want to call in. We talked earlier, and if I am available, which looks like I will be calling into your show tomorrow night. So
great. We are also going to have a very good friend of mine on from Mississippi. He has been a great help to me in developing this information that I brought you tonight, and he is going to be on our program tomorrow night, and we'll be able to expand greatly on what I've touched on tonight, and we'll talk about some new things that he has found out. So I urge everyone to listen, and whatever he brings us, I will certainly bring back to you guys next week.
Sounds great, John. We appreciate the call. God bless you. Stay safe and have a good show tomorrow night.
God bless you. Stay safe and have a great show, and I'll talk to you guys later.
All righty.
Thanks for the call, John.
Okay.
Once again, that was Patriot John. He is the co-host of Braveheart Radio here in our state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And a good friend of the show and of us personally. If you guys want to join the conversation, the phone number is 661-244-9839. That's 661-244-9839. And on this fantastic Friday, as well as most fantastic Fridays, we are all open phone lines all the time. So if you want to call and weigh in, give us a ring, and we will take your call.
And I want to say one thing, too. We will, the report that's coming out, because I've been getting a lot of emails about this, saying that, our silence is deafening. The report that's coming out, folks, it's going to appear not only on our website, that's HomelandSecurityUS.com, HomelandSecurityUS.com, but hopefully on CanadaFreePress.com. And, we do a lot of and I would urge everyone to bookmark CanadaFreePress.com as well. I got to tell you, man, the writers are first class, and I'm not saying that because we write for them, but the information that they have is always topical, on top of things. That's show prep. That's a one-stop shop for show prep. How's that? CanadaFreePress.com, and the chief operating officer there is Kiko, and of course Brian and Judy. Brian's a super tech guy, and Judy is just a fantastic editor, and what a great site. But you can tell that, and I'm not getting paid to say that, so I'm just saying that
Canada Free Press is an excellent source of information. They're one of the few that are not afraid to tell the truth, regardless of the party lines or who it hurts, or the truth is the truth, and we need people who are willing to put the truth out there, even if it damages themselves, for the sake of truth.
Right.
And this is who they are, and this is why we promote them and trust them.
Well, and there's a lot of internet sites out there that are agenda-driven, not factual-driven, and I know Judy is very careful. Like, for example, there are a lot of submissions to that site that are not put up because of some questionable factual information, or so there is a vetting process that really. So people are interested in reading, but they want the truth. They don't want supposition. They don't want and so Judy will go out of her way to make sure, especially if it's controversial, to make sure that, hey, this is correct. And that's the same thing we do at HomelandSecurityUS.com, which we don't have the volume of articles at the moment. I promised a huge update last night. That huge update is still pending. I've got multiple articles here ready to go. And hopefully after the show tonight, it's just it's just finding the time to finding the time if sometimes you got to sleep.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I got a story here that's I didn't send to you, and I don't know. It's not anywhere on Drudge, I don't think, or around the internet. I found this on the Washington Post, and it was the Amazon. I lost it here. The owner of Amazon just pledged here it is. Amazon founder gives $2.5 million to gay marriage effort. Amazon founder gives $2.5 million to gay marriage effort in Washington State. Bloomberg balks at Chick-fil-A ban.
Yes.
Dem polls show GOP up in 6 North Carolina, but this goes on and on.
Well, Chick-fil-A, okay, no, the people have to understand what's going on with Chick-fil-A, and this is something, folks, that this is how wars, you talk about, propaganda wars, what's going on. Chick-fil-A is a Christian-based restaurant. They're closed on Sunday. They don't They don't work on Sunday, and they're very pro-family, anti-abortion, anti-gay marriage. Well, isn't it funny that for example, Rahm Emanuel will call the owners of Chick-fil-A, everything in the book, and yet let Louis Farrakhan and praise Louis Farrakhan.
Yeah, I saw that today.
Yes. What's the deal there? Well, obviously, it's the erosion of the morality here in this country.
I mean, it's like Bloomberg saying, he's not going to let, we'll say, Tim Tebow, who's the very openly religious quarterback,
right, come
to New York City for, City Hall for an award because of his religion, at the same time inviting, Kim Jong-un or whatever to come, or, some kind of dictator. It's just the way they do things is completely, they just don't care. We know there's lawlessness. We know there's evil abound. And they don't care that it's in the open anymore. As I stated a few shows before, the veil is thinning, and they don't care, which scares me, because the less that they care and the more that they put out that they know is damage for their image that can be used against them, it's like they're getting ready for something a lot bigger to come along that will push all this little stuff aside, and people won't make such a big deal of it.
Well, what kind of got me, and again, it almost makes me reach for the tinfoil, is there was an announcement today that Chick-fil-A chief spokesman Don Perry, he died unexpectedly Friday morning, this morning, which, he had worked with the restaurant for about almost 29 years, and he was very well respected, very well liked media executive in Atlanta and the University of Georgia, and he was very outspoken against, very outspoken for, the morality, American morality, and just anti-gay marriage, and he's not afraid to talk. Boy, and this Chick-fil-A gay flap really should be a wake-up call for companies.
Yeah.
Okay, because look,
we're beyond that, but yes, you're exactly right. It should have been a wake-up call for churches. When
that's right.
People getting churches being told that they must marry gay couples even though it's against their faith, or they have lawsuits pending against them. It's not, the First Amendment at work.
Well, and here's the problem I have, because we own a company such as it is, and here is Chick-fil-A, for example, Boston's mayor of Boston pledged to block Chick-fil-A from opening any stores. Because of their stance on the Bible or biblical definition of the family unit, which the deceased, I might add, was a proponent of and an advocate of. And of course, as I said, Chick-fil-A, they've long stood by their Bible-based roots. Stores closed on Sundays. They've donated millions of dollars to Christian causes. But when
shouldn't it be closed on Saturdays?
Well, okay, we can get into this argument, but do we really want to?
No, and I know I brought that up knowing that we could get into a long debate, but still, the point, it wouldn't matter Saturday or Sunday. The attacks would be the same.
Right. Look, but Dan Cathy, the president of Chick-fil-A, he went public. He had the guts to take his company public to defend his company's stance against gay marriage. And that just set up just one huge firestorm. And, it even got Rahm Emanuel involved in this. And, and companies like JCPenney, who hired Ellen DeGeneres as its spokesman, again, we're looking at a morality war here, a values war. People are fighting to erode our values, our Christian values. And I, for one, will support, for example, Chick-fil-A over any other restaurant. But the more important thing here is this: if they can do that to Chick-fil-A, for example, say we're not going to allow you to open up here because of your beliefs, that's some pretty strong. That's a strong message.
This is no longer America. This is now North Korea, China, or Nazi Germany.
Yeah, and it's so. Now, I have to say that if you look at their sales charts, I know that as a company, their sales are way up. That is Chick-fil-A, and if you look at what's going on with JCPenney, their stock, their common stock, has really gone down into the toilet. So, maybe there is this unseen fight taking place, and people are paying attention. Maybe, and I hope that's the case.
Yeah, I agree.
And as you mentioned, Amazon now is into the fray. Oh, come on.
Yeah, and I came across this article today. An Oregon man was sentenced to 30 days in jail for collecting rainwater on his own property.
Yes, you sent me that, and I now think.
A rural Oregon man was sentenced Wednesday to 30 days in jail and over $1,500 in fines because he had 3 reservoirs on his property to collect and use rainwater. Gary Harrington of Eagle Point, Oregon, says he plans to appeal his conviction in Jackson County Circuit Court on 9 misdemeanor charges under a 1925 law for having what state water managers called 3 illegal reservoirs on his property and for filling the reservoirs with rainwater and snow runoff.
Yeah.
The government is bullying, Harrington told CNS News in an interview Thursday. And I have seen reports, I have audio clips of my computer of Fox News actually saying, think it's okay to collect your rainwater? Think again. The government owns the water because those who take it from upstream take it away from those downstream.
But where's the common sense here?
Right. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. What are they going to do? If you want to save your toilet water, are they going to come after you for that? Are they going to, this gets into the line of complete government control over everything. I mean, your faucet water,
yes.
We see them coming after your light bulbs, how much food you're allowed to store, how much ammunition you're allowed to have, if any, as far as the guns are concerned. And if you read, I've been reading, again, I read this 2 years ago or a year and a half ago when I got it, and I missed a lot of stuff in it because I'm reading it a second time, and it is much more insightful. It's called The Fearful Master, A Second Look at the United Nations, written by G. Edward Griffin.
That's right.
Everybody to buy it. I bought it for like $2, okay? This is an old book, but it is so relevant to today because exactly what is written in this book as to what the United Nations, through taking over the government of the U.S. through communism and Nazism and totalitarianism, are doing to the people of the United States. They're called the Master Planners. There's a section in here called Psychological Warfare. There's a section in here called, poisoning your food and water. And this book was written, 50 years ago, 40
That's
years
right.
ago?
That's how long everything's been in motion.
62.
Yeah. That's and it's even longer than that. But that's really, I mean, if you count the decade of the 60s, and really the environmentalism and the Earth movement started in earnest in the 70s. Unbelievable stuff. In fact, I was working a case here in our home state, and I came across a citation where somebody was actually arrested for, if you can believe this, altering the course of a stream. Now, what this person did, was dig around a portion. He had a stream going through his property, and believe me, this is an expansive property. But he just rerouted the stream. Didn't really do anything to the flow of the water, but rerouted it so he could put. I can't remember if it was a patio or like like a screen, something to screen it, but he only moved it like 5 feet and just kind of made it go around this addition. But they cited him, and actually he was found guilty by the district magistrate, and they fined him a couple of $1,000s. I mean, I'm thinking like $5,000. But I had asked, and this is a number of years ago, and I had asked the magistrate. I said, "Is this law?" And at that time, I had no idea, but he referenced Agenda 21 at that time, at the magistrate level, so they knew. So a lot of these, we're affected by Agenda 21.
And I don't mean to switch gears and change your tone, change your topic here, but the Olympic opening ceremonies have started, and we said we were going to say a prayer for the Olympics, for the safety of the people involved, for the personnel, for the people watching, the spectators that are live, for the people who are just live in London. So with that, I guess we'll just say a prayer, and we'll say, Lord Jesus, we pray for the safety of all those in London. We pray for the safety of everybody during the Olympic Games, whether in London or around the world, that you keep us safe from nefarious plots, from people wishing to do harm on us, and that you keep your protection around all of us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. And we ask for the veil of protection. I don't know if it's appropriate, but to ask for the veil of protection over us, because of course we're under threat, and every listener,
our listeners, our guests, our supporters, behind the scenes, and on the front lines, we pray for you. We'll pray for ourselves, and we'll pray for everybody else.
And that's something I never thought 10 years ago. When I was doing radio with Kathleen Keating, and I never thought, and she would counsel me, and she would tell me there would come a day when you will be under attack, and you might not be able to speak freely in America. And I thought, Kathleen, come on, but man, she was right on the money, and Steve too. Steve Quayle was a big,
and I remember, not that you thought he was crazy, but you didn't always agree with what his analysis was.
I know. And I told him, him and I, we'd have a many conversations.
Yeah, this is when I was, growing up and just learning the ins and outs. And I was never interested in politics, not till right before Obama got elected.
Well, it's not even politics. It's good versus evil, and that's the root of everything. It's good versus evil. We've got a war going on, and it's a shame that more. It's a shame that we have a lot of resources, a lot of talented people dedicated to this right-left paradigm as opposed to good versus evil. But that said, let's go to the phones, Joe, if we have any callers. Do we have any callers? I didn't check with you.
Yes, we do. We have some callers. We are going to go first.
Go for them.
To area code 215. You're on live with the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Not bad.
Excellent.
What's on your mind?
Well, a lot of things are on my mind, but I'm not going to take all that time. First of all, I want to let you guys know that I get all my information from you guys and from the website, from Dan Quayle. I constantly post on Facebook, whatever chance I get. I speak to people, but I get my accurate information through you guys and Dan Quayle. And every time I come to this show, I really feel blessed. So I want to thank you guys for all that information you give us. You give it to us with love as well. And even all the people that are here, you can actually feel in what they post that we're all in the same here together. I just saw a disturbing video on the Olympics and the opening ceremonies. And it's definitely a celebration for Satan. This is ugly. This is really ugly. It's so obvious. But what gets to me, Hagmann, is this. Here at the Chick-fil-A, the guy's a Christian. he can lose a lot of business for what he says, because today the world seems that it prefers Satan than God, and he still stands tall with that, you know, and he's a good example of what we Christians should be like. But we seem to be losing a lot of little battles here. You know, we lost the one, pray out of the school, take this out of here, you can't do this.
Ten Commandments.
You can't talk about gays. You can't talk about gays. You talk about gays, you can go to jail. I mean, you say something gay or in Hollywood, forget it. You banned it. You know, and what are we doing here? I mean, when do we fight back? Do we actually wait for the law to come down and tell us to? Or, I mean, I want to see groups of people in front of Chick-fil-A's holding up signs that we support this Christian. We're not seeing that, but we're seeing them everywhere, like if we don't exist. Don't you think it's time that we go out there and start showing who we are instead of posting? And when we post, all we're doing is putting ourselves on their list. So we already are on their list, so we might as well go out there and protest. What do we do from here?
Well, you know,
continue.
Yeah, you know, I think to answer your question, and by the way, it's Steve Quayle, not Dan Quayle, although Dan Quayle was the vice president. Yeah,
Steve Quayle.
I was going to ask if that was the former vice president.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Smell potato color. No, look, you know, it's what do we do? And I think we have to support, like, if you want to take your family out for I don't even want to say a fast food meal, because it's kind of, well, it's fast food, I guess. Yeah, you know, go to Chick-fil-A as opposed to maybe a Burger King or Wendy's. You know, support. You know, and if you have the chance, I mean, if you know, and we always say support your local companies. You know, the companies that are not the big box stores, if you know, every time you can. And I think that the more people that do that, the better off we're going to be. And spread the word, too, of what's going on, because a lot of people don't even know. A lot of people, you know, in conversation, if you mention it, a lot of people, you know, you can change a lot of minds by doing that. And this is something that's really not that controversial for most normal people, okay? When I say I'm going to get in a lot of trouble for saying this. You know, I mean, in normal conversation, you're talking to your neighbor, hey, did you hear about this or whatever, you know, generally speaking, your neighbor's not going to, well, it depends on who your neighbor is, but, you know, this is stuff you can do. Keep people informed. And I like and then I'm going to shut up, but I like the fact that you really think, that you feel like, you know, you're part of a family, because we look at our listeners, our people that interact with us as part of our extended family. And we want you to feel comfortable, and that's how it is.
Well, I'm always here. I'm always listening. But don't you think that we should start to mobilize somehow? Because I mean, we all speak to everyone else, but it looks like we're scared to speak out. Well, a lot of us are. I mean, I'm not. I know I'm in their list, and I know they're going to take. You know, the first one is probably for you. The second one's probably for me. But we don't. We just like sit back and let these things happen and say, oh my God, look at this, oh my God. I mean, when these people protest, we should counter-protest.
I agree.
You know, we should start sending things. So, I mean, who do we go to? Is there some people that or do we start to have to start forming these things now?
Well,
you know, these groups.
If I understand your question correctly, what I think we have to do is I think that we have to, you know, your question is when do we mobilize, and then kind of like how. And I think the when is we're going to know the time, and I've been in thoughtful, really thinking about this. We're going to know when it's time to mobilize, and when we mobilize, it's not going to be a passive type thing. It's going to be a proactive mobilization. And when I say proactive, I'm not talking about violence. I'm talking about, okay, we are a force to be reckoned with. We're together. We're locked armed. We know we've got our arms locked.
Right, like they are. I mean, our enemies are the most organized, financially backed with our tax money. You know, they have their stuff together because they know what plans they want to implement. While we are fighting the attacks, we're learning about the attacks. We're, thinking about how to counter the attacks all at different times because we're all at different stages of our spiritual, awakening and our truth journey we're on. But yes, we do need to be one.
Yeah, but you guys don't see ourselves being weakened. They're taking our weapons from us. Eventually, they're going to be knocking in my house and taking my Glock and my shotgun. They're going to be doing it to everyone's house. They're taking every right from us. Slowly they got foreign troops that are going to do this because the foreign troops do not believe in the Constitution like American troops. So they're going to go, we're losing little battles, and as we lose them, we are getting weaker.
Yes, and Article 15 of the Arms Trade Treaty does state that if ratified, it provides for foreign assistance to implement the treaty, meaning that you will have foreign troops here. So Article 15 of the Arms Trade Treaty does state unequivocally that it mandates nations that the nations who can provide requested support must do so if requested by member nations. And that includes legal, financial, technical, as well as material assistance to enforce this treaty. So that means that, yes, you will have, under Article 15, UN troops taking away weapons. But I'm going to tell you, when it gets to that point, it's going to be ugly. Ugly won't even begin to describe it. It's just not going to be pretty. And then Michael Savage can sit back.
This is what the troops are here now?
Yeah. Oh, man. Joe.
Is this the beginning of this?
Yeah. I don't
see no other reason why the troops being here.
I've had conversations with a military expert. I'll call him. He was in special forces. Look, I don't know. What do you think, Joe? We've talked about this. We've bantered back and forth about this.
About the
troops.
Foreign troops.
Yeah. Is this perhaps
Russian and Chinese troops?
Okay. Well, one thing I've heard is a lot of people not taking Steve and those people to task, but saying that there has been a lot of hype and very little people seeing foreign troops. But I do believe that they're here. I believe that they are stationed inside of our military bases. I believe they have their own bases that were given them by the United States as part of some kind of deals, especially China and Russia. I know that they are in Mexico. They are stationed on the other side of the border in Mexico.
And north of us.
Yeah. So, I'm not saying it's false by any means. I do believe what Steve Quayle is saying. And maybe we haven't seen with our own eyes this yet, but I think that's the point. We will not see this until things really get crazy.
Yeah. And people often say, well,
could you imagine if the news or somebody who was a journalist found, got footage of 20,000 Chinese troops training at like Fort Bragg or somewhere in the middle of America. Do you know what that would do? It would be outrage. It would be confusion, insanity. People would want answers, so they cannot expose themselves that way yet.
That's true. And I've also heard of national lands being used for example, national forests and national lands. And I'm not falling on either any side of this, but being used for the positioning of troops or for hiding, if you will, for lack of a better term, hiding troops, foreign troops. But then again, as the military expert that I consulted with stated, for every troop, for every person, every foreign troop, you've got to have support for that person or for that brigade or platoon or whatever you want to call it. So where are they? Well, I don't know, but I do believe they're here, as Joe does, and I believe that they're here training the Spetsnaz. Well, the big question that I've got is why Spetsnaz here in this country? What are we doing training them or training with them? Or we've got no business. They've got no business here, and we don't have any business training them with our weapons.
Right, and two of them are Russia and China, who always oppose everything we do. Obviously, if Great Britain was here, we're doing some exercise, but you got Russia and China who both hate us.
Yeah, Yeah, it's insane. It really is. But I think by the time that they're exposed, I think that then we will, it's going to be game on, and at that point, we're talking about total anarchy. And
I don't think they hate us as much as they are implementing the goals and agenda of the New World Order, as well as securing resources for their populations.
Yeah, I do too. We'll call it.
Well, thank you, guys.
What a great call. Anything else?
Thank you.
All right. God bless, man.
God bless.
Wow, Joe, I'll tell you. When we look at the plans from back in, and I keep going back to my book Communism and the New Left, issued by the U.S. News and World Report, we go back to the plans of the revolutionaries, and we see that they're the very ones in power.
Yeah, I mean, look at the interviews we did with Larry Grathwohl.
Yeah.
Look at the communist goals read in the congressional record from 1963.
Yep.
Look at the Communist Manifesto, the Communist Constitution, pretty much, that is the UN Constitution that they want to implement worldwide.
Yes. All of this is, this is going for global governance, and I've seen some say, well, they've picked the wrong generation for that. But I'm not so sure, because this generation that we have right now is basically the generation that has been raised on the TV games and the computer games and such, and it's we've got an aging population, and what better time to get rid of the useless eaters, the aging population, when the baby boomers are going to be a strain on the Social Security system, than to get rid of them right now, because I'll tell you what, you're not going to be able to support the baby boomers via Social Security the way it is right now. It's just not going to be. You're not going to be able to do it. So
no, they've drained the accounts through their fraud.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly, and it's an upside down pyramid as far as Social Security is concerned. So they've got a problem. How are they going to support the aging population? And hey, perhaps now is the time that they've been talking about. Now is the time to get rid of us. But you talk about, and as you go through the historical things, you talk about the satanic nature, there's and that caller mentioned something else too about the satanic nature of the Olympic Games. I'm interested in that. What's going on with that?
With the Olympic Games?
Yeah. They
are not live streaming the opening ceremonies, which are taking place now.
Right.
But word in the chat room is that it looks to be another, openly satanic worshiping kind of show. And what I mean by that is we saw the Super Bowl with Madonna, where, it was very satanic, that Nicki Minaj, Lady Gaga, these recent public concerts have been very satanic. Also, Madonna was booed in France because she used Nazi swastikas in her performance. But the opening ceremony of the Olympics, it looks like some kind of Illuminati ritual with a witch. If you look at the Drudge, there's a picture of it.
Okay.
On the left-hand side, on the column on the left. Also, it says opening, review, triumph, music. There's the Queen parachutes in, Olympic flag carried by UN chief.
Oh, wait. The Queen parachutes in?
Yeah, I don't think it was really her. I didn't open the article, but Britain fires up the world. London gets 2012 games underway with the greatest show on earth, rounded off by Macca, of course. It says Queen makes spectacular appearance in simulated helicopter arrival with James Bond star Daniel Craig. There's about 10-point list things here about the opening. But
wow.
It's this from the Daily Mail UK. I'll actually send you this link to this article through Skype. You can look at the imagery. You can look at the what they are doing here. I just sent it to you. And, it does look kind of creepy. But like most things they do, what else is new? We are looking at black magic, devil-worshipping, occult. Even the stadium looks like it's built for a Masonic ceremony.
Nice.
We're up against the top of the hour break. That went so fast on this fantastic Friday. We'll be right back after these short messages. Call in right after the break. Stay with us.
Survival of the fittest. In any and all situations, survival is your number one priority. That requires being tough and thinking smart. And the folks at Freeze Dry Guy are going to help you do just that. They have the long-range patrol ration entrees, what they call the Brick Pack. When you're in survival mode, it is absolutely the best item for your survival pack or bug-out bag. You can go farther, faster, and carry more food with the LRP cold weather ration entrees. Not only do these long-lasting, durable entrees help sustain you or your family through the harshest environment or situation, they are by far the most delicious of their kind. No contest. With a variety of tasty entrees, you can't beat the LRP Brick Packs. Let Freeze Dry Guy help you in your survival situations. Go to freezedryguy.com. That's freezedryguy.com or call 866-404-3663. That's 866-404-FOOD.
Hi folks, Doug Hagmann here. You might know me as the co-host from the Hagmann and Hagmann Report, or as a frequent guest on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. If you're like me, you're tired and confused over today's headlines. You just don't know where to turn for accurate, concise information about really what's going on, what's truly going on in today's society. If you don't know where to turn for accurate, well-researched, and properly vetted news, I've got a suggestion. In fact, it's a requirement. Bookmark Canada Free Press. That's CanadaFreePress.com on the internet. It's just not for Canada. It's for news across the world. Judy McLeod, founding editor, has put together a vast array of talented writers like Kelly O'Connell, Daniel Greenfield, Dr. Eilena Johnson-Powell, a lot of guest columnists, very talented writers. Folks, that's Canada Free Press at CanadaFreePress.com. Now mobile friendly. Follow on Facebook, because without America, there is no free world.
Doug Hagmann, one guy that doesn't need a bullhorn to get your attention.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this July 22nd, 2012 fantastic Friday edition of the Hagmann and the Hagmann Report. My name is Joe Hagmann, my co-host Doug Hagmann. He is the founder and director of the Northeast Intelligence Network at HomelandSecurityUS.com. Together, we are the father and son premier radio show host team. And the first hour of the show, we covered a lot, got into the Small Arms Treaty, the opening of the Olympic Games. We said a prayer for those of the world who to be looked over by God's protection as these games take place and as these New World Order / Illuminati / international globalists look to wreak havoc on the world and create an event that will change the way we do business, will change the way we live forever, and we pray for God's intervention that He does not let that happen. We know time is short. We know we don't have a lot of time left, but we need to ask for more time so we can get more souls where they need to be.
That's
With
right.
that, making sure you're back here, okay?
I am.
And we're going to go right to the phone lines. We got a bank of callers. Call in if you want, guys. 661-244-9839. We're going to try to move through calls here, and we are going to start with Vernon. Vernon, you're on the air. Are you with us?
Oh, yes. Look up, gentlemen. The king is coming. God bless.
Indeed.
Okay. Doug, I'm getting ready to tell my age here, but slowly we turn inch by inch. Remember that?
Yes.
Well, that's what's going on. That's what's going on. Inch by inch, they're destroying our way of life. And the problem is we're moving too slow. Now, the gentleman asked, what can we do? Can we protest? Well, the first thing we need to do is still wake people up. There's a mass of people and even within the church that is still asleep. You know, when you try to bring it to their attention, they don't want to hear it, even in the church.
Yes.
They don't want to see it. They don't want to know about it.
And there's a difference between two types of people that are not awake. One of the types are awake in the Lord and have His salvation, which is definitely excellent, which choose to remain, outside of what's going on in the world, but keep that relationship close. Then there are the other church members who are not awake to world events nor to the salvation of the Lord.
Exactly. And that's the dilemma that we're facing right now. It would be ideal if everyone could see what the information that you're bringing to the table. It would be ideal if everyone could understand what it is that Pastor Paul is preaching. It would be ideal if all the churches would wake up. That's not going to happen. It's not happening, I should say. No. And the time is extremely, extremely short. You heard Pastor Paul say once, we're at the midnight hour. Actually, we are 1 minute past the midnight hour. God is tarrying it. We're on borrowed time. And that's how soon the rapture is going to take place. Now, everything that we talk about, be it the earth changes, be it the signs and the stars, the moon, the heavens, be it the laws that are changing in this land. Doug, you referenced Agenda 21, and that's the main reason why I called it. Because a lot of people don't even know what Agenda 21 is yet today. And I'm only scratching the surface of understanding what it's about. But Agenda 21 comes out at the UN. It's a 40-chapter book. And if you want a used copy, you can get it on Amazon.com for about $1,000.
Yeah. Well, you know what, you can actually if you're there's enough of the UN publication on Agenda 21 that has been saved for historical purposes, okay, that you're talking about. You can actually recreate that publication, so if you, and that's probably something we should do, is put together something like that, so not a penny goes to support these twits.
I'll tell you what, I do have a PDF. I'm going to try and find the address and post it to the chat room now, or in the next few minutes. That is has to do with, it's 2014, the Environmental Justice Plan, and it is basically an Agenda 21 plan with the environmental justice.
Well, if you go to the UN.org website, Agenda 21's got their core publications in PDF formats or in HTML formats. So if you actually go to the UN, if you don't mind getting your browser dirty, go to the UN.org, and the core publications of Agenda 21 are there, and you can see how twisted it is. The Earth Summit, excuse me, the guide, the different sections, just the table of contents reflects the international thinking, the globalist thinking, and although it's got flowery terms, it's like sustainable development, of course. Combating poverty, of course. No,
right.
No, all of this is evil.
Yeah, I could try that again, but the last time was about a month and a half, 2 months ago. We tried going through their sites. And it's like a needle in a haystack,
Oh, yeah.
But we can try that again. But what I'm trying to get across about this Agenda 21 is that they use terms sustainability.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable. That they have actually a map, folks, where if let's say that you live out in the Midwest and they want that land, you got to leave your ranch. They try to bring everybody into the city, and they try to bring everybody into a compact area. They have this huge map that is not sustainable for human habitat. That's number one. They want main control.
Yeah, what they do is they use the term wetlands, protected wetlands, to go against and after people's property that they want to seize, claiming that they are wetlands, even though they might only be wet during times of floods or, it's very nefarious. It's very...
yeah, exactly. But some people would be surprised. Look, Agenda 21 policies, they date back into the 70s, but they got their real start in the 1992 at the Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro. Okay, and who was president then? President Bush signed onto it, and Clinton signed it later and continued the program. So, a non-governmental organization called the International Council of Local Environmental Initiatives, ICLEI, they're tasked with carrying out the goals of Agenda 21. Now, currently, we've got over 600 cities inside the United States that are members of ICLEI. And the costs, for being members, are the taxpayers bear those costs. So, you've got to get educated on the documents on this plan, and you can do so. The information, you don't even have to buy the book, Vernon. It's on the internet, and a lot of YouTube videos about this as well. Just be very discerning as to the sources that you use.
What's real, what is real, and what's not real. I understand that. Because what I'm trying to get across to the public is that this information stretches across every facet of our lives, between not only our land that we own, but also our educational system, our religious institutions. This book covers everything, and they're taking control of everything under the disguise of Agenda 21. It's coming through, let's say, our local politicians. They present it with a plan. Oh, well, we'll give you X, Y, Z amount of dollars if you will implement this plan right here. And a lot of laws that locally that spring up, and you wonder, what happened? People lost their minds here. It's actually because of this Agenda 21 that they are bowing down to. And
that's right.
Even Panetta came up and told in Congress on C-SPAN, told Congress, we don't take orders from you. We take orders from the UN and NATO.
Yep.
And then we come back and tell you what we're going to do.
He could have actually been arrested after stating that inside the Congress hearing where he said that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually, that's true.
Yeah. So.
Yeah,
but again, trying to get someone that prefer their head stuck in the sand, that's virtually the impossible task. So all we can do as believers, Joe, in the body of Christ, that the rapture is about to take place. All we can do is we were instructed to tarry as if there was a tomorrow. In other words, we're to carry on. We're to do, go about God's business.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, until He comes, and that's all we can do. So
well, that way, Vernon, we're not so heavenly minded that we end up being no earthly good. Okay, we need to go out there and we need to really do the job and make sure people are on the right side of things.
Exactly.
So
okay.
God bless you, Vernon.
I just have one more thing. Joe, I'll send you a private email, a private message in the chat box before I go. I do want you to check out the page I built on my website leading back to you gentlemen, and I need your approval for it to stay there, okay? And also, a picture is worth 1,000 words. I'm still looking for a PowerPoint presentation in the conference room.
Oh, we need to do that. We need to do that. Yes, we do.
Yeah, we got to get hooked up with Vernon and get on his program there.
Yeah, we do. Vernon, you're exactly right. We've been remiss in not doing this properly, but okay.
You should
get it done.
We got
give us a call early next week. We should set that up.
Okay, great.
Yes. And thank you, Vernon. And ladies and gentlemen, what we're trying to do, and seriously, we're trying to make the move put everything in God's hands, basically, and trying to make the move to do this on a full-time basis, and saying, this is what's important, and it's difficult it's a difficult thing to do, but we're trusting in God that things are going to work out. So.
Yeah, because a lot of people, if you what you're talking about, it's like they wake up then, they see it. Oh man, is that what they talking about? I didn't think that was possible, and then they wake up. You're not going to wake everyone up, but if we save one,
that's right,
just one, then my job on earth is done.
Well,
anyway, gentlemen, God bless, and keep on doing what you're doing. And to everyone in the chat room, keep looking up. The Lord Jesus is on his way.
Amen, Vernon.
All right. Very good, Joe.
Thank you, Vernon, for that call.
Thank you. And we do have to do the conference. Plus a lot of a roundtable discussion conference. Pictures. Powerful.
Vernon has his conference room. I don't go in it nearly enough, but from what I understand, he says he's on there a lot. And in between the pastor show, during the pastor show, our show, if you guys want to brainstorm, go there, and you can link up with Vernon. It's like a group. You can hold like 50 to 500 people. It's a group call basically, and you can brainstorm different ideas. There's so much we can do with that. Like he said, put on presentations, give audio, show examples, and we need to utilize as many tools as we can to stick together in order to, come out ahead in ideas, because these people are pushing their legislation through with no problem, because they have the majority as they get paid off by the Federal Reserve and different special interests to pass the bills that they want passed. We need to, as Christians, as a awake and united people, also do the same.
As Americans, we need to do this. If for no other reason, as Americans, what we need to do is what we're doing, but more of it and in more specifics. And Agenda 21. While we're still on that subject, folks, look. In 1997, George Soros's Open Society gave ICLEI like $2.2 million grant to support the local Agenda 21 project, and that's spread across the country. And I got to tell you, all of this whole program is gaining in momentum, and at risk from Agenda 21 right now is private property ownership, single-family homes.
Yeah. Do you see Mayor Bloomberg started this new campaign to make 300 to 400 square foot apartments while he lives in a 2,500 square foot
25,000, I think.
100 or 12,500 square foot.
Well, yeah. Okay.
And he's telling people, oh yeah, you need to move into these efficient apartments. They're twice as big as a jail cell. What do you mean they're jail cells? They're twice as big. It's just ridiculous.
Well, it's going to affect, not only, the single-family homes, the size of them, how the energy is monitored.
And he attributes the people that are now, it used to be, 50 years ago, most people were married and had families. They needed the space to have, enough space for their children. Now we have, part of the population is homosexual. Part of the population refuses to be married. They're not sticking to the traditional family Christian way of life. So now there are more people, and when you used to have one person who'd have a family and have their residence, and all these people of their family, members of their family, were residents in this one place. Now we have an extraordinary amount of single individual people who refuse to get married, who refuse to be part of, moving with somebody else, et cetera, loners per se. And now that they are trying to, and the price that they're offering $2,000 a month rent for these 300 to 400 square foot apartments.
Oh yeah, it's not cheap.
I mean, I live in a 2-bedroom spacious apartment in my town and pay $500.
Well, you know it's ridiculous, but you know, once again, Agenda 21, they're openly targeting private property. Land, for example, cannot be treated as an ordinary asset. It cannot be controlled by individuals. It cannot be subjected to the pressures and inefficiencies of the market. It's private land ownership is a principal instrument of the accumulation and concentration of wealth, and therefore contributes, according to their plan, it contributes to social injustice. You know, think about that.
Yeah, it's not fair that some people live in, you know, 1,000 square foot apartments or houses, while others are living in these 300 to 400 square foot apartments. That's what's going to come after they create all these and put all these people in it. Well, it's not fair. And we see this with the younger generation.
That's
and this
right.
is something we never got into too much that I wanted to. But the younger generations in the UK, Australia, the Western civilizations, and the way that they take after the old, the way that they regard the older people as taking up space, as taking up resources. You know, if they were gone, I could have their stuff. The Bill Gates idea, you know, kill Granny to hire 10 teachers. This, unfortunately, is not the mentality of just the eugenicists, but of also the people, the younger generation, the Occupy Wall Street type crowd that are against capitalism, that don't want to work, but take other people's stuff anyway. And, you know, what's going to happen when those people take other people's things and then are perceived as being rich by the next young generation? Are they going to appreciate them being killed, them being taken out for the same reasons they did it to the other people?
Well, again, you know, we have to look at the agenda of the people in charge, and I think this is a big part of it. You know, people always ask, well, when might things start be coming down? Well, you know, we've got, as I mentioned before, we've got just a generation right now of aging baby boomers, and I think now there is the more I see too of the rumblings from the Valerie Jarretts and the Van Jones and the Cass Sunsteins, I see that they are really ramping up their rhetoric and putting things into motion now. Between now, you know, in the event, in the unlikely event that Obama is going to lose, and I don't think he will, but at the same time, they're also engaging in, for example, Pennsylvania right now. They're going through we're going through the motor voter bill, and the ACLU has sued Pennsylvania for demanding identity checks at voter registration or voter polling places. So we haven't gotten a ruling on that yet, to my knowledge. That's pending. But this is how they're doing it, and they're doing it at a frantic pace right now. So all of this, but yeah, and we have to watch, because I have a feeling, I really do, I've got a feeling that we're not, I got a feeling time is short. So.
Yeah, and that feeling is not alone. Many people have that feeling and understand the times we live in are dwindling away. We have a bank full of callers. I think we are going to go to the callers. And I have a whole list of phone numbers here of regular listeners versus people who call in to talk, people who call in to listen, but we're just going to go through them all because I don't have all this in front of me. So area code 731, you are on live with the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Hey, guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yep.
Hey, how you doing? It's Jason. I was calling to... Yes, Jason, I called you a couple weeks ago.
I recall, Jason.
Yes. I was calling because you've been touching on some subjects tonight that the Lord has really been speaking to me on here lately. One of them is, what can the church do at this point in time? I think a lot of people are too focused on the physical means right now, as per, you know, you have the elections, what's going to happen at the London Olympics and everything else. as opposed to really focusing on the spiritual. I mean,
You're
you
right.
have the church. Exactly. You have the church. Most of them aren't even awake to what's really going on. And too many are blind and ignorant as to the authority that we've been given through Christ Jesus to fight this spiritual warfare that's happening right in front of our eyes.
Amen. You're exactly right.
Well, no, wait a second.
Authority. We do have the personal authority to combat the evil in our lives and those around us. I mean, the Lord gave us the spiritual authority to cast out evil, to cast out the demons that are plaguing us. We have the authority over these evil spirits. And you are correct when you say, so many of us are focusing on this. You're right. It's taking away focus from the Lord for a lot of people. Even if something happens, it's still, people are engulfed into the tragedy. People are engulfed into the event. People are not engulfed into what the Lord says about it. And that is a major problem, even with people who are awake.
Exactly.
Now, Jason, though, I want to just caution you. I don't believe that being spiritually awake and active is you don't have to. I mean, there's no exclusivity to that. You can do that as well as be active in other avenues, on the earthly plane as well by being proactive in preparations, by being proactive in education and information, informing others about different things, and
I
yeah,
completely agree with that wholeheartedly.
Okay. Because we'd be remiss if we didn't do that. But yeah, you're right. First and foremost, is the spiritual armor, which we need. We need that. But I'll tell you what, we need that.
Yeah, and I want to grab my Bible here. Go ahead.
No, it's well, Jason, is there anything else, my friend?
Well, I come from a background of being deeply involved in the occult before I actually died and went to hell and then got saved afterwards. And I see all of these signs. I've had members of the satanic groups that I was involved with back in the day come to me very recently trying to get me to come back to them because in their minds I'm still their ally or what have you, because they really don't want to try to eventually have to take down what used to be a friend of theirs. But, it can't be that way, and that most people do not grasp or understand in the realm of the occult just what they have stepped into. I mean, even the practitioners of so-called white magic, the Wiccans, things like that, they don't understand that there is no such thing as white and black magic. Magic is magic. And everything is speedballing, and it's like a snowball rolling down a hill and it's just gaining momentum. Eventually it's going to hit the bottom and just explode, and it's going to be everywhere. And this is the reason why I've spent so much time, not just in my ministry, but trying to help out other people's, to get them prepared, not just spiritually and understand Christ is the only way, but also physically. They have to be physically prepared as well, and they also have to see that there are certain decisions they make in everyday life that are going to affect this outcome and how long it's going to take for the fruitions of Lucifer to come into play unless God just pulls back his hand completely.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, I've had a friend, a listener of the show, who has had a dream of the false rapture where the devil tries to imitate the rapture of Jesus only to be followed by a huge tornado, being Jesus on its back, coming in to ruin the deception and to save his bride. And that was also backed up by another person made a YouTube video with the same exact vision and or dream. And they don't know this person with the same details. It was very odd. Not odd, but...
well, it's uncanny that the two people not knowing each other would have the same type of vision or dream or whatever you want to call it. But wow. Well,
is there anything else, caller, before we let you go?
No, I just wanted to get on here and let you know what the Lord's been laying on my heart and just give you guys some encouragement, let y'all know you are doing a great job. I'll keep praying for you. I understand that y'all have certain underground groups that are particularly trying to focus on the lives of you and Hawk and everybody else, and I wanted you to know I'm interceding on your behalf. I'll keep praying for you.
Well, thank you, and we appreciate all of the intercessors because we need them. And there are times I feel, Joe, vulnerable, more so than others. And I got to tell you, that this is one of those times, and I just don't want to get into it. But I don't want to feed into. I don't want to feed into that. But
and they were talking in the chat room earlier about guns, and I got to tell you, I sleep with my gun close by. I don't feel safe.
I'm a big believer. A copy of the Constitution, a Bible, and a gun in your briefcase, and you got a full briefcase. That's what you need. But I wanted, before we go further, I wanted to thank Thomas, by the way, for sending me an email concerning a Virginia license plate. Apparently. And I just thought this is rather neat to even mention this. A nightly listener by the name of Thomas sent me this, saying that he saw a yellow "Don't tread on me" rattlesnake legal Virginia license plate on a car, and so Virginia said it wouldn't participate in the NDAA, so maybe they are one of the states prepared to stand up against the tyranny that's coming down on us.
I think they passed a law saying they will not enforce the NDAA, or the law
right.
The NDAA is not valid in their state.
Yeah, and I also received an update or a phone update today by one of our listeners, and again, somebody very close to some people at the NRA, and there's another gun organization saying that Pennsylvania will not, Pennsylvania will not abide by any type of gun treaty. In fact, they would, something to the effect of, they are taking the upper echelon in the government of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania are taking this very seriously, and they would in fact secede, their words not mine, before they would abide by anything like that. But I've got one more email here. I want to pass this information along to listeners. This was confirmed by a number of different people. In fact, Steve Quayle's got a copy of this, and folks, do with this what you will. Again, I've been able to confirm the authenticity of the email and the authenticity or the legitimacy of the information. But again, do with this what you will. This from a listener that just drove by, and this was this was this morning. Just drove by the Minnesota National Guard Armory in Crookston, Minnesota. All of the stored assets there, the troop transport vehicles, the APCs, generators, miscellaneous equipment, they're all gone. They've been repositioned out of the armory. Remember, this is the same armory that held the martial law drills last May. Now, this person's been driving by this armory and states that they've never seen the complete movement of assets from this facility, and that's going back a number of years. Apparently, there's also some follow-up on the restricted airspace over Devil's Lake. Now, the reason I mention that is apparently there's an expansion of restricted airspace in or around Devil's Lake. Why the sudden push for the restricted airspace? It might be possible to cover up what's going on in that general vicinity. You've got to wonder what's going on here, and this author does say something in the area. Something is definitely happening in this area. I'll spare you the rest, but there's a lot of stuff going on. And then from one more thing, apparently, the bottom line is this: there's a lot of military assets being moved throughout the United States. Some on train, some by train. So
we have a special caller on the line. We are going to go right to his call. Radio Preacher Man. You are on the air with the Hagmann and Hagmann Report. Are you there?
Yes. Good day, gentlemen. How are you?
Excellent. It is good to hear from you, and I understand you are back home.
Yes. We made an abrupt trip back home. Monique just, she just got more and more ready to go, and she was losing weight and kind of down in her health a little, so I knew it was time to think about bringing her back. And so I calls up to Delta and to change our flight, and it was either go Saturday or wait until the 17th of August.
Wow.
Or a third option would be, because you have to pay to change your flight date anyway, but a third option, if I didn't take one of those 2 days, which was like 25th or something, 24th or 5th was last Saturday, or 23rd, I don't remember the date, or the 17th of August, or I would have the third option would be to give an extra $600. An extra $600 besides the change flight fee, and then I could pick a day in between those two. So what we did is we just hurried up and kind of packed and left.
You fled. You fled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We fled.
Yes. Well, what did you think of what did you think of Israel? I mean.
Well, I enjoyed it, to be honest. I enjoyed the country. I enjoyed the people. I enjoyed, driving around and seeing this and that and just the whole thing. But as I think Monique has probably mentioned to you all, and maybe when I was on your show, when we were there, we were hearing a lot of activity from airplanes and helicopters, and even the last few days we were hearing a lot of machine gun rifle fire somewhere in the distance, evidently not so far away because you could actually hear it. And there were some things on a few occasions that seemed like almost an explosion, a repercussion from an explosion that would shake the windows in our room, in our building, and even in the classroom one time. And unless it was a sonic boom, I don't know which. But
well, 200 rockets a day on average go into Israel, and people don't understand that. People think that Israel is just this serene. I mean, now again, a lot of them fall into nowhere. Basically, it's just but on average, so.
I never felt unsafe though, really, and especially walking around in the cities and such, you don't feel unsafe because nobody else is packing a gun either unless they're in the
I want to go back as soon as possible. I'm all better now. I'm ready to go back.
That's my wife. Now she's got to. She gets feeling better. She wants to go back. I don't think so, not yet.
Well, I thought you were open on the line there for a minute.
Well, we love you guys.
What's that,
we love
Doug?
your courage, and the to be able to pack up and go to Israel, being led by a spiritual calling, and to do it, to follow through with it, to go out of your comfort zone, to go to a country where even it was worse than what you expected, to have to put up with what you put up with in terms of coming from a peaceful, relatively free America, or the illusion of freedom, to military street-run bombings, shootings, and constant threat that you live under.
Yeah, well, I didn't feel like it was as bad as Monique made it out to be, but it's a lot going on with Damascus right now. We didn't know from day to day if we were going to see Gog and Magog starting up. You've got all these ships and such around, and the enemy is surrounding them, basically. It could be Gog and Magog any day now.
Well, how are you liking that Arab Spring? Huh? Hey, RPM, how you liking Arab Spring? How you liking Morsi over there threatening Egypt as well and the Muslim Brotherhood? Now, what do you think, being over there? What do you think about Clinton, Hillary Clinton, and Napolitano, and all these people, loving, giving the Muslim Brotherhood some love, and the very people who want to take Israel, and annihilate Israel from the map. And you got this Nimrod idiot, green behind the ears punk, Jay Carney, who refuses to name the capital of Israel. Did you see that, by the way?
The State Department, yeah.
Okay. It's time.
I think I heard something about it. I don't know that I saw it firsthand.
He refused to
name
name Jerusalem.
That Jerusalem is the capital of Israel?
Right. They list Tel Aviv and Jerusalem as pretty much two different countries.
It's just unbelievable. The animosity of this criminal, anti-Semitic, anti-Christian, anti-freedom administration. And I'll tell you what, if we have any feds listening to us, we're going to tell you something. All right. I'm not sure what this idiot of a president swore on, a Bible or a Quran. I'm really not.
Yeah, I know he had 2 swearings in.
But I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something. If you look at the those presidents where the Bibles were open and the verses that were open, those that picked the verses that favored Israel, we had good times, economic times, fewer disasters in this country, and now this reptilian shapeshifter, and that's tongue-in-cheek, folks. Don't send me.
That's funny. I never thought I heard you say that.
Please don't send me emails, okay? Don't send me.
I can see the headlines now. Doug Hagmann says reptilian shapeshifter.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah.
Look, we've all but thrown Israel to the wolves and the Jewish people to the wolves, and with that, Christianity. So and I'm sorry, I just had
and I don't mean to butt in here, but didn't Obama sign some kind of pro-Israeli legislation today?
Yeah,
I saw that in the headline. I didn't read the article.
Yeah, it was.
What happened with the gun thing he was going to sign with the UN? Did that ever get done or not?
Yeah,
Holly Deo said no.
No, it's on hold, but do not, as John said at the first hour of our program, look, it's on hold, but it's only temporary, okay? They're reviewing a few things, but let me tell you something. It will be implemented. You can take that to the bank. It's going to be implemented. And it's not a right-left issue. It's not a conservative versus, well, it is a conservative versus progressive, but more importantly, it's evil versus good. And they want to disarm us. And that's how they want to disarm us, and a disarmed, and it's not going to end well. Believe me, it is not going to end well.
No,
if they try.
I'm afraid not. But look, with what you said about the Muslim Brotherhood, it's like every time they take down a leader, and then we all saw that coming in Egypt when they took away Hosni Mubarak. It was like next thing you know, they're having elections and yada yada, and then it looks like he might win. It looks like he might not. But, of course, he did win, the Muslim Brotherhood guy.
Yeah,
and it's like we knew he was going to. And the same with Libya. It's going to be Syria, the same. Every time they take down a leader, they're putting up a man that has a bad agenda against Israel and the U.S. both.
Of course.
The Western way of life. England, all of us, Australia. This is, it's all being threatened, everything we've known our whole lives, and all the stuff we've worked for and have tried to accomplish in our lives. But, these are signs of the times, brothers. If you look
signs of the times.
Psalms 83, 3 and 4, it talks about anti-Semitism, and I believe we're going to see that more and more, not just from Mel Gibson either. It says they have taken in verse 3 of Psalm 83, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. Now, who does that sound like? That sounds like Ahmadinejad right there. Let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. This is right out of the Word of God, folks, but it sounds like it was a quote from Ahmadinejad over to Iran. It's like it could have been as easily a quote from him. And they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. I mean, this is what we're at. It's like,
well, yeah.
I mean, I know we could get hit, but, they're surrounded for real.
Well, they are, and I'll tell you what, it's not by accident. It's by this Muslim, if not fully, Muslim by parentage, president that we've got. I don't even want to say president, resident that we have.
He is a Muslim. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah.
He was a Muslim father, a Muslim school, Muslim upbringing, Muslim mentors. He said he was Muslim before having to be corrected by an interviewer. Who of us would say during an interview we are Muslim accidentally and say, I'm Christian? That doesn't happen.
About our Muslim faith. Yeah, I saw that.
But did you know he admitted to on his trip in Egypt and
Michelle, she says he was Muslim.
Yeah, he admitted, but he one of them Egyptian politicians said that he admitted in private that he was a Muslim. Okay, I'm talking about Obama now, and I'm trying to find my notes where I had that. Doggone it.
And RPM, you raise an interesting point because I've talked to a few friends about this, and I've talked to my dad about this. The swearing in, the first one was botched. The second one was done in private. What was done in that second swearing in that we don't know about?
That's true. That's very true.
I've never heard of that ever in my life, of having two swearings in.
And it was about
That's like the most important thing in your career, is swearing in the president. That's not likely you're going to botch it unless you were told to botch it. But
what kind of more? Seriously, and I'm being serious. The most important.
Yeah, well, that's what he's alluding to.
Yeah,
saying even, honey.
I don't believe. I mean, come on, okay. You would have to be a complete moron to botch that, unless there was a secondary agenda to it. But I'm going to say one thing, and then I'll shut up. 2010, Obama meets one-on-one with Egypt's foreign minister, Ahmed Abdul Gait, who later remarks on Nile TV, "The American president told me in confidence that he is a Muslim." That's 2010.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, I remember that too. I sure do, Doug. That's what I love about your show, is that you refresh people's memories of things that we forgot. American people are bad about forgetting. We'll hear something important, but then we forget it because we're so busy with life, Everybody's got to go to and fro and make money and pay the bills and take care of the kids.
Don't you know?
And the media created ADD, story jumping, and, flavor of the week reporting that they do. It does not help.
Yeah.
No,
we have a very short attention span now as Americans. I'd hate to even know the stats on that one. But the children are, I know you were talking about that the other day on your show, Joe, about how when you were a young lad, your mom would say, "Close your mouth," when you're watching TV.
I say that to them now. Close your mouth for different reasons. No, but no.
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to be this flycatcher, his mouth open when he's watching TV and be in this trance, and we have to turn the TV off or take him out and let him run around in the yard and get his energy out. But anyway,
I can remember my brother watching MASH when we were young lads in high school, and you couldn't get his attention if he was watching MASH. I mean, you could say it got to the point where I'd have to say, "Hey, Lynn," because that's his wife's name now, but that was his girlfriend then, and he'd turn around to see if she was there. That was the only thing that would distract him from that show, was you making him think his girlfriend had just showed up.
Wow.
So, that tells you that's the stronghold of women on our lives, I guess.
Radio Preacher Man,
you know,
we got about 9 minutes left in the show. We want to try to take a couple more callers. Can you tell the listeners where they can listen to you and when?
Okay. Go to radiopreacherman.tk, and that's from 6 to 8 Eastern Time Zone. Or they can go, of course, to ChristianUnitedBroadcastingNetwork.com. That my show airs live 6 to 8 Eastern Time in the evening. And then we have, of course, archives and different things. But I just want to say one other thing about coming back. Stan Dale was on my show tonight, and he said to me, and I'd forgotten about this, but after this big war they're fixing to have, it's going to take them 7 months for Israel to bury their dead. And I had forgotten about that passage. So it's maybe God's will for us to come on home, because I actually applied to stay and study at 2 universities, and neither one of them, took me in as a student. So I'm taking that as doors closing, time to come home. You know what I mean, boys? It's like you gotta
do what you gotta do, RPM, and you did what you did, and God bless you, and you're better for it.
Amen. Well, I appreciate y'all having me on, and thank you for everything you guys do, and we love y'all. We're praying for you. But yeah, pray for Israel.
Indeed.
It's not bad when the war starts.
Well, all right, my friend. You take care. And folks, that was RPM, Radio Preacher Man. You heard on the Christian United Broadcasting Network and radiopreacherman.tk.
Yeah, and he posted the links in the chat room.
Okay.
And
before we take another
Blog Talk Radio on Christians United Broadcasting Network. Definitely don't miss his show.
Yeah.
As you just heard, he had Stan Dale on. He had him on a couple weeks ago. He has a all-star lineup of guests.
And I just want to say before we take another call real quick to Angie, if you're listening, and just know that we're praying for your speedy recovery. So
Yes, we are. And from what she has told me, she is feeling better today than she has. She's had to go to the hospital twice for complications or some kind of to look at what was done because there were problems, but she says today she's feeling better than any other day.
Good.
And God bless you for that, and praise the Lord for your recovery.
Good. All right. Well, let's get into let's roll with the calls.
We got about 6 minutes left.
Let's go.
We're going to go to area code 561. You're on the air with the Hagmann and Hagmann Report.
Hi there. I'm the lady that called up Michael Savage last Friday after the murders.
Hi.
And you mentioned me on Monday, so I wanted to say hello.
Oh, hello there.
I think Michael is very, very scared of the government because he was banned in Britain, and he feels Hillary Clinton did it. And I think that's why he shuts down anything that is suspicious, but I think he's smart enough to know what's going on. But I wanted to give you a referral. Last night on Alex Jones News Network, which is now on YouTube, they have a 25-minute interview with Larry Pratt of Gun Owners of America.
Yep.
And he was excellent, and he said that there is a communist coup in this country, that they're lawless, of course, everything you're saying. And he also said that if Obama is reelected, we are doomed as a society as we know it. So I thought you'd want to, since you're so popular, I thought you'd want to put him on the air. He's fabulous.
Oh, yeah. In fact, the gentleman I talked to today was talking to Larry Pratt here this week. So, yes.
I heard it. That's why I called you in the second hour.
And I want to thank you.
Also, one more thing. Alex Jones had a sub today on his show, a 3-hour broadcast with the people that did the Oklahoma City movie production.
Yeah.
They had a woman on in the third hour who has been worked for after 9/11, started work for Homeland Security, and she realized it was a fraud, and she exposed them, and she was targeted. And she's friendly with Brittany Murphy, the movie star that died, and she says that she was murdered and her husband was murdered. So you might want to listen to that on replay, too, and get her on your show.
Thank you. We will.
Did you happen to hear Michael Savage on the 25th, maybe that was yesterday, talk about how body armor and clips, that 100-round clips should be banned to the American public?
Well, actually, I went to Mark Levin because I was tired of his attention deficit disorder.
Yeah, look, I've talked to Michael Savage on and off air, and I've got to tell you, it surprised the heck out of me that he would say, because I've been on a show, and to equate me with the Black Helicopter crowd, I wear that as a badge of honor, I guess, at this point. But, I don't know. You're right, though, caller. I got a feeling that he is afraid, given his...
well, considering the books he wrote everything that I just said, and he cut me off. So, that's why I called, thinking that he would elaborate on it. His call screener was very interested. As soon as I said that the treaty is going to be signed on the 27th, he says, "Oh, I get your point. Hold on." So, it was the topic of conversation. In the meantime, nobody's talking about the treaty. And Larry Pratt said that or did you say it? I can't remember who, that it's going to include small guns as well. Did you say that tonight?
Yes, conventional arms, correct. And yes, absolutely. If not, we've been saying that, but yes, it does include small
and one
arms.
more important thing, and I'll let you go so you can grab one more call. On the website, BerthaReport.com, wonderful bulletin board for information and links, and it's everybody, if our guns are taken away, everybody is galvanizing at noon the following day at every courthouse in the United States. So I want you to bear that in mind and remember it. Every courthouse in the United States, 12 o'clock noon the following day.
If the treaty is signed, or is that what you're saying?
If they start taking our guns away and the treaty is signed.
Okay,
and you can put notes on that. You can put notes on that website also.
Okay, good.
Report.com.
Bertha Report. Yeah, I'm familiar with who runs that site. In fact, we've had that person on. So, okay, very good. Thank you very much, caller.
Have a nice weekend. Bye.
You too.
Thank you.
Interesting.
And that's amazing that I just wrote in the chat. We must be growing the. I think it was last Friday or either Monday. Somebody alerted us into the chat room that we were mentioned on Michael Savage, and he, went on about the Black Helicopter crowd and the crazies. And we went back and listened to the call, and the lady just said, go on to Doug Hagmann's website and look at this, and she was cut off immediately.
Yes.
And then I heard him, like I said, on the 25th, talking about why do citizens need body armor to hunt? Why do citizens need more than X amount of bullets in their clip to hunt? Call me and debate me about it. Well, we play the clip we have over and over. The Second Amendment is not given to the United citizens so they can hunt. It's given to the United citizens so they can fight against the tyrannical governments that end up taking power after years of, people not paying attention.
That's right. I don't want to.
No other arguments to be made.
I want several of them. Look, folks, we're
Michael Savage, if you're listening, it's not about hunting. The right to bear arms is the right the people have had and will have, and it's not the right to bear arms you like or Obama like. It's the right to bear all arms that are available to our military and etc.
Oh, believe me, this will get to Michael Savage. I can guarantee that.
I hope it does.
No, I guarantee it will. God bless you, folks, for listening, for spending your Friday night with us. And if you're listening to this on archive, spread the word about our program. Fastest growing on the Internet. God bless you. Thank you so very much.